Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Environmental Systems. Today's focus will be on ecological footprints, and we will participate in a warm-up, complete some notes. You'll be assigned a reading assignment and also your first lab for the year. So after that, we will complete our closure. And please, 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 if you haven't already, join the Remind. It's just the easiest and fastest way of communication. I promise I will not blow up your phones. It'll just be friendly reminders every week or so. And it's also a good way for you if you have need a quick clarification for something. It's the fastest, most effective way of reaching me. Again, welcome to Environmental Systems, class of 2021. I'm here for it. Woo! Remember that when you do attend live lessons, you have your cameras on. I need to see that you're there and that you're actively engaging, or I cannot count you present. We are stronger together. Communicate, reach out, collaborate with your team, with your friends. Just figure stuff out together. The best way for you to survive this whole ordeal, it's crazy times right now, is to communicate. Expectations, all of these are important, but I need you to focus on checking Canvas regularly and self-advocating, reaching out if you have any questions or concerns. So again, our focus for today will be to analyze our own individual ecological footprints and then communicate a valid conclusion. This will be done tomorrow, but I'm just kind of preparing you for it. We're going to communicate a valid conclusion based on the data that you collect about your own ecological footprint. So make sure, if you haven't already, that you mosey on over to our classroom, and I'm just going to do first period as an example, but in your first period, you should have found the Zoom link. There's two different places, and then the info is right there in case you have questions, or you can't figure out how to use this one over here. Sign in daily for attendance. So you need to fill out this Google form. If you haven't done this already and you didn't participate in class synchronously, make sure you fill out this Google form. So you'll be going over to your modules. Remember, I told you home and modules are going to be your go-tos for our class. And in modules, you need to make sure you're on the appropriate day. So you already finished Monday, Tuesday because you're amazing students, and you are on Wednesday, Thursday. So on Wednesday, Thursday, you have these tasks to complete, and one of them is your warm-up. Your warm-up will consist of a video, and you are to write down 2 takeaways from the video that help you define what an ecological footprint is. You'll have a submit button, and that will make your text box appear. And you can even have your text box and the video playing on 2 different screens so that you can type as you watch. So once you are done with that, you'll go on to your next part of your module, and it'll have your presentation link. That'll just be the PowerPoint, the Google slide that we're using right now. And I'll have the video link, and that's probably how you're watching this right now because you already figured out where your video link was and how to follow along. And I'm going to hop on over to the Google Slides again so you can see what we're doing. You should have already completed your warm-up. If you haven't, pause this video and complete your warm-up now. I'm going to put this in present mode so you can kind of follow along and get the same experience we did in class. So the first question I posed to the class was, if everybody lived like Americans, how many people could the Earth support? Your options are between 1 and 3 billion, between 3 and 6 billion, or between 6 and 9 billion. So I will give you about 15 seconds to quickly make a decision. Okay, that was 15 seconds. I am going to give you another 5 seconds when I present you with this new data that our current world population in 2020 was 7.8 billion. So 5 to 10 seconds to finalize your decision. Make sure that you still think that your choice is the right one. That was 10 seconds. The correct answer was the first column. 1.5 billion is how many people we can actually support if everybody lived like Americans. We are way beyond 1.5 billion right now, guys, so we are not in a good place to begin with. One of the ways that we determine how much the earth can support is with our ecological footprints. Ecological footprints are going to be how much land and water is available to people and how much can that land and water be used to absorb and recycle waste and pollution. So of the land and water you occupy, how much of that can really like balance itself out with the amount of waste and pollution you're producing. This is going to be measured in hectares. And what is a hectare? This is going to be the size of a football field, the size of a 400-meter track, so about 10,000 square feet or 2.5 acres. That is what it's measured in. But there's about 11.3 billion hectares available in the world today. This is going to include cropland. We need crops for food. Forests, we need forests for oxygen. Fisheries, again, we need fisheries for food. Doesn't include deserts, glaciers, and open water because people generally don't populate these areas or use them for crops and raising cattle or anything else that we would need to consume for energy. So in total, there's about 1.88 hectares available per capita or per person. So what would happen? Just take a moment to think, what would happen if the number of hectares per person would increase or decrease with increasing population size? So there's more and 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 more people. What would happen to our biologically productive space? I'm going to give you 5 seconds. Pick increase or decrease. Okay, and the answer is decrease. The more people there are on Earth, the less space there is available for us. So that's going to lead us into our next topic about biocapacity. And the definition of biocapacity is the ability of ecosystems to provide natural resources and absorb waste. So it's not only important for it to like give us vegetation and give us the animals we need to support our metabolisms, but it also has to do with being able to get rid of our waste. Can it break down all of those chemicals, all of those toxins that we're releasing from our body? Is it able to break it down? So the biological capacity to replenish renewable resources and waste, when that is exceeded, when we pass that number, we are in a deficit, an ecological deficit. So this is a map of our current state of biocapacities, right? If you notice that countries that are at less than 50% biocapacity, meaning that their resources, they still have enough resources to support their population, there's very few of those, and that's really sad. The countries that are over 50% biocapacity, like they're still in an okay place, but they have passed that 50% biocapacity. There's a lot more of those, and that's not as terrible. But the countries that are in a deficit, like they have already exceeded the amount of resources we have. You'll notice that it's countries like America, Mexico. You have all these Asian countries over here, Japan, China. We have European countries over here. We have Northern African countries. And then the number of countries that are in deficit of less than 50%, there's very few of those as well. So just overall, we're not in a very good place if you look at the map. It looks okay because you see all these green, but there's still over 50% biocapacity. So what happened is we had this day in history. It was in the 1970s where we passed a point where we were able to maintain our population, like sustain it, as well as to the country, to the Earth's capacity. So Already in 2010, we needed 1.5 Earths to support that population. It's projected by 2050 that we'll need almost 3 complete Earths to support the population. This is our overshoot. Like by 1970, we already reached our overshoot, ecological overshoot, and it's continued. Like we've been past the point of sustainability. So consider different viewpoints. How do you feel about the fact that our current population is using more resources than Earth can regenerate? What other views could people have on the topic? So what's your point of view on the state of our Earth right now and how many resources we're using and how many Earths we actually need? And what could somebody's opposing view be to yours? I'm going to give you about 2 minutes to consider this. Okay, that was about a minute. So about 45 seconds are left. I'm going to go ahead and give you that time. Okay, that was about enough time. So you should have thought of something of how you feel about Earth using more resources than it can generate and what other people might think about the topic. Okay, so moving forward, here is a graph comparing different developed countries and the total footprint that they have as a country. And so you'll notice that the United States is exceeding the the footprint of all the other countries. The next chart is showing still the developed countries, but this is per person. So this one was country as a whole. This is per person. And you'll notice that the United States still comes on top, and Japan, which is a small country, is almost second in comparison to, or is second in comparison to the United States. So our global average currently is 2.2 hectares per person, and we're exceeding that tremendously. On this graph, there's the ecological footprints per person in the country, and you'll see that again. United States, you have some Asian countries, you have a lot of European countries exceeding that ecological footprint. So the amount that Earth can sustain, right? And you have very few countries, and you'll notice like the ones that are in green, like these are not exceeding the ecological footprints. They're places where people don't live, the southern, very south pole of the Earth. Oops, sorry guys. These cold, like Greenland over here, African countries, South African's very hot over here. Those are places where people are not exceeding their footprint. They don't really live there, or if they do, they're not very developed countries. This chart is showing our world biocapacity. So these are going to be resources that are provided by the earth: land, forest, fishing ground, grazing land, cropland, carbon footprint. And you'll see that coming to the 1970s, we're already getting to that point where we're going to pass the biocapacity. And then by the late 1970s, we were already way beyond our means in some of these areas. We already took up a lot of land, a lot of forests were cut down, fishing grounds are being utilized, grazing land. It took us a little bit longer to exceed that expectation, but you'll see that this is an older chart as well, guys. This was in 2006. So probably by now it has surpassed that. And the reason that some of these charts seem like they're old, or the data isn't accurate, is because this takes a lot of time for them to collect and analyze. And we're in the 4th edition right now. By the time the next edition comes out, it'll probably still be a little bit outdated, but it'll have a more current year than we can see here. Humanity's energy footprint has to do with different ways that we can get energy, like water power, nuclear power, fuel power, carbon dioxide from fossil fuels. And you'll notice the same positive trend. We are increasing our use of resources, and it's not going down. It's just a positive correlation. So I want you to take about a minute to think about why developed countries are going to have a larger ecological footprint. And I put these 2 points on here for you to focus on. So average income per person and ecological footprints. What do they have in common? You're going to put that here in the text box, and I'll give you about 1 to 2 minutes. Okay, that was about 1 minute. I'm going to do another minute. Okay, you should have come up with a correlation between these 2 things. If we were in class, I would ask people to share out, or I would read their responses. So please attend class as much as possible so you can get the most out of the experience. Okay, so the correlation between developed and developing countries um, has to do with the average income and the ecological footprints. So usually developing countries are going to have smaller ecological footprints. And reasons for that could be their diets. In developing countries, we tend to have meat-rich diets. So cattle, pork, all those things take a lot of land and energy to sustain, versus a grain diet, which would be like rice and wheat fields, things like that. They don't take as much energy, or they don't cause as much an environmental impact as the cattle and the pork that we would need to raise and sustain. Also, their energy needs. We have a fossil fuel dependence in developing countries, and we emit a lot of CO2 into the atmosphere. So we're using 2 times of our energy in diet. So, sustaining these cattle and these and the pigs and everything. intensive farm strategy. So we're using a lot of water, we're using a lot of irrigation, things like that that take up energy. The wind power is still taking up energy. Automobiles and factories, we are a consumer country, so we're definitely always making products, making the newest, latest model of things, and all that is going to take up a bunch of energy. And then the need for more carbon dioxide fixation. So that's going to take a toll on our biomes, our trees, our vegetation. They have to take all this CO2 that we're emitting into the atmosphere, and they have to try to turn it around into oxygen. But we're cutting down more and more land, and there's not as many trees to fulfill their role that they need to do. So we're making these carbon dioxide levels reach a point where it's no longer going to be able to be fixed purely through the vegetation that's left on Earth. And then here's a comparison between high income countries and low or middle income countries. And you'll see, again, this positive correlation. And it dipped a little bit right here in the 80s, and then it went straight back up. So we've gone through periods of time where the importance of sustaining the Earth has been important, and then it's just kind of been disregarded again. Whereas middle and low countries, they've never had the same needs as us. So they've kind of been okayed in their ecological footprints. Like, they haven't changed, they haven't increased or decreased much. They've kind of been stable. And that's going to be the end of our lesson, guys. So you're going to go over to your journal. Your tasks for today are to complete pages 7 and 9 in your e-journals. I'm going to go through that with you in a second. You are also going to complete your first lab today, and this lab is going to be found on pages 10 and 11. So it seems like a lot of pages, but most of it is very guided, and all the answers can either be found in the PowerPoint or in the websites you're going to be redirected to. So before I go over your closure, I'm going to go over those assignments with you. So remember, when you're on your homepage, you always want to mosey on over to your modules, and that's where you want to stay. Remember, you already did Monday, Tuesday because you're amazing students. So you're going to go to Wednesday, Thursday, the 19th and 20th, and you'll see your warm-up there. So you're going to see a submit button on yours. Remember, watch the warm-up and type out your submission, whatever you're going to turn into me at the same time. And then you will go over to your presentation. This is probably how you access my video. And these are resources. This is your presentation if you want to go back to it. You don't need to hear my voice presenting. Or if you want clarification on directions, you can watch the video and skip through if you need to. Okay, so e-journals. Some of you still have not shared your e-journals with me. I don't know why, but if you go back to modules, maybe you don't even have your e-journal because you haven't started the assignment. You need to go right here to thinking maps and theme collage, and you'll be introduced to your e-journal. So you're going to click on your link for your e-journal, open it up, and then go back to today's assignment, or you can even do it through here because the link is also here. So you need to change your name here. So it says my name. I want you to type whatever your name is in there. I'm just gonna retype my name so you can see me typing it in what I want you to do. Up here in the title, it should look like this, but I want you to put your initials so that it's easier for me to grade and find. And then you're gonna share it with me. So you're gonna press the share button, the yellow share button in the corner. You need to get the link, make sure that the link says San Antonio Independent School District and that you have given me editor rights. You will copy that link. You will go back and you can use this Google form or the one in your actual assignment for today, but you need to paste that there and fill out the form. That way I get a copy of your e-journal. If you do not do this, I cannot grade it. So that's an overview of how to share the journal again. So I'm going to go back into today's actual assignment. So it's going to be ecological footprint reading. You should have already shared your Google form with me. I showed you how to do that. So you're completing pages 7 through 9 and 10 and 11. And the way you would access your eJournal, if you've already shared it with me before, is you're going to go to your drive, and the amazing thing about Canvas is it makes a folder for you, and that folder is called San Antonio ISD. You're going to find my class period and my name, class name. Oops, wrong one. And I'm just doing second period as an example. Second period, your journal should be there. And that's how you're going to access your journal from now on. So I'm at my journal now, and you're being asked to edit pages 7 through 11. There is a link. You have to fill in these boxes. It's kind of self-explanatory, but I can definitely provide you with some clarification if you need. But the links in the corner, if they're not working from your screen, just press present and then click on them. And then when you go back to that anyways, you can just press escape to get out of there, out of presentation mode. And you can open 2 windows and be working on 2 things at the same time. So fill out the charts here with pages 7 through 9. And then on page 10, this is your lab link. So again, if the link doesn't work, press present. You will click on the link and it'll open it up for you. You're going to paste a picture of your results there and answer the question. These are your analysis questions. So this is going to be your first assessment grade because it's a lab and it takes a little bit more effort. And you're going to go ahead and stop there. You're doing pages 7 through 11 today. And once you're done with those 2 pages, you will go back to your module, submit it. Or I don't think I asked for a submission on this one. I want to say, because I have your links already, so I'll just go check your links and give you a grade there. And then you're going to enter your exit ticket. You should have had your ecological footprint because you need it for your assignment. So what was your reaction to your ecological footprint? Are there any adjustments you can make to your everyday life? Why or why not? And that's going to be it for the day, guys. I know it seems like a lot. It's really not once you get started. I will have tutoring from 4:30 to 5:30 on Thursday. If you need me at any other time, please make an appointment. Other than that, I will see you guys later. Have a great day.